Welcome everybody to our info session tonight. It's a pleasure to welcome you guys here for this session. I see we have Sibel, Cass, Joe. We have someone, Fireflies, AI, Note Taking Joe, Alejandra. Welcome to those that have joined us live, and hopefully we have a few more joining in the couple of minutes that we have as we kick off the session tonight. Right, so tonight is about telling you the information that you will find most relevant about our postgraduate diploma in football, digital media, and communications. By now, if you're here, you probably have most of the information. You've probably downloaded the prospectus. You've seen what the program is all about. So what we've aimed for tonight is to have an opportunity to provide you a general overview of what the course is all about, and also have you to have the platform to ask any questions that you may have about the course itself. So it is a pleasure to be joined here tonight by Simon Meehan, who is the head of content at Newcastle United, and he is also the leader of this program.
Hello.
So Simon, great to have you here tonight.
Thank you, Diego. Very happy to be here. Hello, everyone. Welcome, and very much looking forward to getting into the content of this course and telling you a little bit more about it.
Excellent. Yes, for those of you that may not know who I am, my name is Diego Valdes. I'm the General Director, founder at the Sport Business Institute Barcelona. And like I said, tonight, it's all about you guys. It's about maximizing your time and making sure you get the most out of this session and understand what is the focus, what are the goals, what are the objectives of this program, and more importantly, how can you benefit by taking on this course, this program? How can you get the most for your next step in your career? So perhaps the best way to start is by providing you a general overview of the program. The course will start March 17th. So we have a couple of weeks remaining until we officially kick off. The duration of the program is 3 months, and it has one weekly live class on Monday nights at this same time, 8 p.m. local time in Spain, 7 p.m. in the UK. So we'll talk a little bit more about the logistics in just a moment. Evidently, the course is 100% in English. So that's the language for both the content and the classes. And you see the fee there of 3,750 euros. Now, why enroll? I mean, we have some points here, and in just a moment, I'll have Simon tell us a little bit more. But essentially, there's 4 points that we've put here that are, interesting for you to consider. Number one, it's a very hands-on, industry-oriented program. So the aim is for you to gain experience and see what you're going to face in the industry once you actually begin working for a football club or a football organization. It also will provide you with networking opportunities. In just a moment, Simon will also talk about the lineup of guest speakers that we've assembled, and you're going to see that it's, really top-notch. So you're going to be able to make connections and have an opportunity to engage with really top-level professionals from the football industry, but also amongst yourselves, right? Those that join the course, it'll be a cohort where you have an opportunity to connect with each other. And, at SBI, we're very proud to say that we attract profiles from all over the world and also from different disciplines, many of them already working in the football industry. So it may just be that some of the students that are forming part of your cohort, probably might be already working in the football industry. Of course, we want to make sure that the knowledge is cutting edge, that it's up to date, that it's relevant, that it's what's happening in the industry today. And that's why the curriculum is very updated. And like I said, it's aimed at those that want to understand what's happening in the industry today. And then finally, of course, anybody that does a program is looking for their next step, looking to upskill, looking to gain knowledge, looking to make connections, looking to acquire experience to advance their career, whether you're starting a role in football, whether you want to transition from your current industry into the football industry, or perhaps you're a young professional that is graduated recently and is looking to have a little bit more knowledge and not so much in an academic or a formal textbook theory type of program, but rather in a very hands-on real life environment. So that's in a nutshell what you will see. But Simon, perhaps you can expand on what I've mentioned and tell us a little bit more about the goals, the focus of this program, and what students can expect beyond what I've already mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as you absolutely correctly explained, Diego, the aim of this course and the way that this course has been developed is really to draw on the very practical experiences of working in this field in football. Obviously aligned to the academic coursework that we've put together, but what we wanted to do is really give students the opportunity to see what the reality is, if you like, behind the curtain of working at football clubs, in media, in digital communications, in content, in social media. Certainly, before I started working in the industry, I really didn't have much of a clue of how it worked. I had a bit of an academic grounding. I'd done a master's in sport management and the business of football, but it was only once I actually joined Chelsea and then expanded my experiences by working for Brentford and now Newcastle United that I really learned how football clubs work, how they work in this domain, what is important, how do you what types of objectives do they have, how do you try to meet those objectives, what are the different pressures, what are the different things that you might be working on in the day to day. And so as Diego says, what we've tried to do is give really hands-on industry experience of what it means to work day to day in a football club, so that if you are starting out or if you're trying to level up in some way in a career already in football, that you gain some of the knowledge, or you maybe jumpstart a little bit or get ahead a little bit in terms of um, knowledge, experiences, techniques that can help you to really be successful within the industry. So that was the starting point. I also wanted within this course to give a bit of my own personal experience. So some of the things that we focus on are elements that I have experienced, that I've learned working in communications and digital media. So hopefully I've been able to impart that with the coursework, and we'll do that through the lectures as well. But I think perhaps more importantly is more important than that is the lineup of guest speakers who will deliver master classes, because they are absolute experts in their field. And what we wanted to do with the speakers was have a really good range of experiences of current roles and insights and intelligence that they will bring. So we have people from football clubs working in communications, working in content strategy. So we have people from West Ham, Chelsea, for example, Newcastle United, obviously. I wanted people from the communication side as well to impart their knowledge, and so we have speakers from other clubs as well, like San Diego. We also have somebody coming in who's worked previously at Juventus and at Manchester City. So really good and strong grounding in terms of the experience of club work. But on top of that, I also wanted people to come in who work within the industry and who you would work very closely with, who might not work in a club, but if you are in a club or if you're in an industry related to this field in football, you will almost certainly end up working with. So we have somebody who's coming in from a company called Scoreplay, which is the leading digital asset management platform, the sort of most exciting platform in that domain, and was really fundamental to how you might work in order to capture, store, distribute content, for example, at a football club. So we've got somebody coming in from them. We've also got somebody coming in from a company called AI Scout, who are at the cutting edge of scouting, of working with clubs to bring AI into the way that they scout and develop players. And why that's important in the context of this course is that person worked in marketing at Chelsea and is now their chief marketing officer. So he is able to bring really cutting edge knowledge of how you market and how you distribute content and how you bring people in to a really new and emerging part of the football world. So we have a lot of different people really strong speakers. And so the combination is really learned experiences, learned knowledge, which we hope to share with all of you, and then a really strong lineup of speakers who can give you their insights, their experiences, their intelligence, what they know about the industry, coming from different parts of it, to really add on top of that and give you those practical advantages that will serve you in a career in this field.
Excellent. Yes, we have on screen here a few of the profiles that Simon was already mentioning, as far as the guest speakers and the professionals that will come and impart their knowledge and their experience with you during the course. And of course, Simon himself, obviously, you know, it's not every day that you have the academic lead of a course and you have someone working at a top, you know, Premier League club, professional club in football that is taking time from their busy schedule in their day work to come and teach. So we're very lucky as well, because in many courses that you see in the market, you may see people leading programs that don't necessarily have perhaps the same type of knowledge that Simon has. So this is also something very, very valuable, that you're going to be, you know, week in, week out with someone that might be teaching you one night. And just like I mentioned before we started the recording, you know, tomorrow he's got a game against Liverpool FC, and you know, his day job is high pressure, making sure that content is delivered in the right manner for his club. So this is something that also is very valuable, and you know, that's why this program offers this opportunity to work hand in hand with people that are in the industry today, doing the job that you might be aspiring to do at one point, or perhaps that you're already doing and you're thinking, well, I would need some additional skills and some additional knowledge that might help me perform better in my day-to-day job. Now, moving on to the content and what you can expect as far as the curriculum, you know, we'll go through briefly as far as some of these topics are concerned. But just to give you a little bit of background, when we were putting this course together and when we were looking at how to create the curriculum for this postgraduate diploma, you know, among other things, looking at what the market is you know, currently demanding. I remember when we were having conversations, Simon, we discussed and we said, well, how would you, being in the position you're in, how would you see someone that is perhaps in a more junior role that has to step up? What type of program would you think would be good for them to have? What type of you know, knowledge do you think they should be learning? And off those conversations, off the back of those conversations, you know, we were able to create a curriculum based exactly on what we felt would be, you know, if you had to hit the ground running and had an opportunity to work inside a football club, whether it's in the media or the content or the communications department, you know, to give you the best chance of having success and have an opportunity to, you know, to perform. So this program, although it has an academic curriculum, as we said, is very much industry oriented, and most of the stuff that you're going to see is based on cases. It's based on real life, you know, scenarios and yeah, situations that happen in the day-to-day environment inside a football club or in the football ecosystem. So I think, Simon, well, that's one of the great advantages, right, of a curriculum of this sort, that you have an opportunity to learn the quote-unquote theory, but it's very much focused on the industry itself.
No, absolutely. That was the idea, was that that it's almost as if you are going into a role in a football club, you know, and and the reality is that in many football clubs, these roles are very fluid. You know, you go in with a set job description, but you may end up working across many different areas, many different parts of the club, particularly if you're at a smaller club or a club lower down the league with lesser resource. And actually, you don't have to go too far down the league to be at a club that has less resource than one of the absolute giants. And so you find yourself working across a lot of different things. And so the way that we designed the course, as you say, Diego, is to really think about, if you were to land in this role in a football club, whether that's in media, content, digital media, communications, what are the types of things? What are the types of situations? What are the types of tasks and challenges that would face you almost from day one. And I can say this from experience because I recently started at Newcastle United. I've been here six weeks, and it I think I had maybe 2 or 3 days before the work piled up. You have to be able to jump on things, be able to do things, be able to action things, and obviously the rhythm of football is such that you have 2 games a week very often in different competitions. So really the idea behind the course was to help prepare you for that and help navigate some of these things that you might experience as you land in the role, and how that would help you, as I said before, to supercharge a little bit and feel more confident and comfortable in dealing with these various different situations. Just to give a little bit of context around the outline that you can see, obviously 2 modules. The first module on content, we try and start very big picture. It's very important, I think, always in any role that you might have in any club or in any company associated in football, is to understand what the strategy is, because that's your North Star. That's what's going to be guiding you. So an understanding of strategies. So we start with content strategy, social media strategy, start thinking about editorial content, by which largely we mean what is published to a website or to an app very often, written content, and then start diving into some of the more specific elements that you might come across, you might be working on, or that are increasingly important. So fan generated content, the use of fans in content, digital products, how are clubs developing digital products away from social media so that they can understand more about their fans, bring fans into their environments, content marketing, which is often your partner in anything that you do. If you're in a content or a digital media or even a football communications role, you have to work very closely with the marketing side to help a club do all of the things that it needs to do on the day-to-day. So selling tickets, memberships, merchandise, and so on. And then we wanted to look at a couple of other specific bits. We mentioned briefly the tech part, which is increasingly important, and also touch on AI and how that is at the back end rather than the front end of things, starting to change the way that clubs operate, and the possibilities for streamlining and making more efficient this whole area. And then obviously we want to touch on influencers, because that's such an important part of the social media ecosystem, and a very interesting challenge when you're working within a club to figure out how do you work within influencers, how do you work with people who maybe have a bigger audience than you in many circumstances. The second module really focus more on that communications. What are the important things if you're in a communications role? Clearly, being able to work with media and obviously broadcasters from that revenue perspective. They pay for the rights for these games, these leagues, these clubs. So it's a really fundamental relationship. I wanted us to be able to really go into that in some detail, and bring speakers in who have direct experience of that. And then the 2 other areas which are very interesting and really growing is corporate communications. Clubs have not traditionally had very strong corporate communications arms, but if you look at new investment into clubs, if you look at new stadiums being built, if you look at the relationships that clubs now have to have with their partners and sponsors, then it's a really important and growing area. And I actually see a lot of job opportunities in that area now. And then the last part of communications is one that sometimes lands at your feet on day one. Is there can be a crisis, there can be something that happens, you can get a phone call saying this has happened, we need to be able to respond to it. So in a communications role, I thought, let's pull out this element of crisis, being able to handle a crisis, being able to do it calmly and efficiently is really important. So we touched on that. But overall, the idea is that you get an understanding of both of these areas, content and communications, which goes so close together, and then all of the different parts that might then might reach you as you start this type of role.
100%, 100%. The other thing that you may be wondering is, a lot of people that undertake these types of programs want to know, how is this going to benefit me, right? How is this going to help me in my career? And I speak to a lot of people that, do many of the programs that we offer at SBI. And I've come to the conclusion that everybody looks for 4 key things to get ahead. And if you're able to cover those 4 key areas, it means you're on the right track and you're probably going to have opportunities. And I'll just run through them very briefly. And the first one obviously is knowledge, right? If you don't have the first-hand knowledge of what's happening in the industry, you're going to be in a disadvantageous position with those that are already in the industry and have this knowledge, right? So that's the first thing that you need to understand, that in order to get ahead, you need to have the knowledge. Secondly, we all know any industry, and specifically football, it's quite a closed sector in the sense that it's very important to have a network, to build relationships, to connect with people. And sometimes it's not easy when you're not inside the industry, right? You may have encountered this on your own, that you want to connect with people and you want to have a conversation. And sometimes if they don't know you, and if it's a very cold approach, you may not even be able to make that connection or that begin to build that relationship. So here, what we do is we warm that up. We bring all the professionals. We have everybody that comes in, be in a collaborative environment, that are at your disposal to have an opportunity to learn from them and also connect with them. So you automatically begin building a network with the people that are part of the program, and also the speakers and obviously Simon himself as well. So a network is very important beyond the knowledge. And then the other two are, sometimes you're at a crossroads in your career and you don't know where to go, what your next step should be. So a lot of the people that provide the knowledge in this course also have been in a situation where they've had to face decisions as to where to go with their career. And I'm sure Simon can as he was saying before, he's worked at Chelsea, he's been at Brentford, now at Newcastle. So someone like him is very valuable to be able to bounce off your ideas as to where you want to go with your career, because sometimes you need somebody that's done it before to guide you and to give you some advice and say, look, if I were in your position, if I was in your shoes, I'd do this, or I'd think about that. And that's very, very valuable, because having that type of insight, and especially have someone ready to provide that to you, if you're not in an environment where it can happen, it's doing it on your own sometimes can be more challenging, right? Because people are busy, people have different things going on in their life, and they don't always have the time to dedicate one-on-one. So that's why when you come to this course, it's not just about the knowledge and the network, but also the guidance that you're going to get. And then finally, the last point is experience. A lot of people say, well, what am I going to get out of this? What type of knowledge and experience am I going to get out of a program such as this? And the reality is that, experience you're going to have once you start working somewhere. But there's ways to gain that experience. You can start volunteering. You can do, some pro bono work. There's ways where you can start gaining experience. And in this course, we'll also provide you with some tips, with some advice as to how to approach those situations. So if you have the knowledge, if you build a network, if you have, someone that can guide you and provide you some mentorship or some insight as to where to go with your career, and then you're in a platform where you're able to gain experience, you basically cover the elements that allow you to optimize your opportunities. At the end of the day, football is a very competitive industry. Many people want to get involved and many people want to work in it. So it's about how you can get ahead. How can you position yourself differently from those that you're competing for, as far as the different roles and opportunities that are available. So that's something to take away here, because sometimes people will say, well, it's an investment, right? It's something that I have to think about. It's not by any means something that you think about lightly when you make this type of investment in your time and your money, and you want to make sure that you get the most out of it, right? So that's what I would say that is the real value of the program as well. Not just the content and the speakers, but also what the program will give back to you as far as the guidance, the opportunities, and the firsthand, community that you're going to build, that is going to, be there for you beyond the 3 months of this course. So sometimes it's also about unlocking that potential. A lot of people also say to me, what are the opportunities that this course is going to provide? And right now we can talk about maybe 10, 20% about what those opportunities are. But it's actually when you start, when you take action and you begin embarking on that journey, that those opportunities come about. Because you never know what, and I've seen it time and time again, people that do our master's programs, our postgraduates, our short courses, they join a course And you never know how things are going to pan out. You never know who you're going to meet as your classmates. You never know what type of opportunities the guest speakers might have for you in an internship or in a project. How proactive you are. So everything that begins happening once you embark on the journey, that's when you begin to see the potential that gets unlocked. So, that's if there's anything that you can think about as far as what value this type of program can deliver beyond the goals, the objectives, the overview that we may be able to tell you here today, it's about those intangibles that make these types of programs really be worth their value in that perspective, right? You get everything in one in one community, in one platform that allows you to gain those advantages as far as the program is concerned. So something to think about when you're making the decision. And I'm sure many of you are gathering facts and are having an opportunity. And that's our objective here tonight. That you have all the facts. At the end of the day, you have to make your decision, and it's got to be a course that you're convinced that might be what you're looking for. But it is an opportunity. So sometimes, like they say, the train passes, and it's a good opportunity to hop on the train and see if it leads you to the destination that you're looking for. And we're convinced that this type of program has been designed in a way where it provides opportunities beyond what you can see here in this presentation. Obviously, we talked about the speakers before. Simon, I don't know if there's anything else that we want to add here, or if we've covered this point.
I think the only thing to add, Diego, is as you were saying, in terms of network and opportunity. Obviously, the speakers assembled here, I know a lot of them very well, and all I would say is that they are incredibly open people, incredibly generous with their time, and I'm sure that many of them, if they are in areas, if there's an area that you're interested in from a career perspective and you join the course and attend, they would be happy to have further conversations about their area. So I think that's an important thing to say in terms of the network. And then the only other thing to say is that it's very much my experience in football that opportunities emerge in almost all the time. It's from a personal perspective, I've said many times to you, Diego, the first step that I took was starting a course with SBI. I think it was 2016 even, so a few years ago. And that was my very, very first step. And I could never have imagined that from that point, so many opportunities would open up to the point where I've now worked at 3 different Premier League clubs, which would have been beyond my wildest dreams back in 2016. And really that was a butterfly effect from having started on that course. I started to understand more about the industry. I started to learn more about it. I started to know who to speak to. I gained the knowledge of how to speak to those people, and it just went from there and went on and on. And I think it's about seizing those opportunities, and I think this would be a really, really good starting point for that, and certainly with this group of speakers. So that's the only thing I would add to that point, Diego.
No, that's a great point as well, Simon. As you said, the speakers are very collaborative. They dedicate their time for you, and the fact that you're studying and doing this program, they're very much involved. And then obviously, as you said as well, it's about creating those opportunities, and sometimes you have to, create them for yourself, right? And you have to make sure that you're out there, that you're visible, that you're taking action, because action always, is the first step to acquiring the results or obtaining the results that you're looking for. Then finally, before we turn it over for your questions that you may have about the program, I'll say this. I like to refer to an analogy whenever it comes to personal development. And the analogy that I always refer to is the mirror and the window. So here with this course, we've talked a lot about the mirror. In other words, what are you going to do in order to upskill yourself? How can you benefit? What are the different elements? So you're looking inwards as to how you're going to develop yourself, right? So that's a little bit of the mirror. But it's also important to look at the window side of things. And when we talk about the window, what we mean is the marketplace. So what are the opportunities that you're going to be able to, have when you do these types of programs? And we'll go back to this slide in just a moment. But what I want to refer to is this particular slide that we've put together. And literally what we did is our team, between yesterday and today, we looked at the different job opportunities in the football industry. And this is a screenshot. I hope it's visible. I hope it's not too blurry. But this is updated as of yesterday as to the different roles and opportunities related to what Simon was saying before. Media, social media, content, communications. So lots and lots of roles, and not just in Europe, right? And you see some offers there in the US. I mean, there was a really interesting one that came out, I think it was yesterday or the day before, at Bayern Munich, in the Americas. So lots of opportunities are there as far as content, strategy, social, digital, and that's where the industry really needs a lot of professional and support, professionals rather. So as far as the opportunities that you can look for in as far as your career is concerned, there's football influencers, content creators, sport journalists, reporters, content managers, digital media specialists, marketing executives, social media managers, media relations, events, communications, content manager, digital media specialist. You see some of the other roles there. So it's important to do an analysis of both as to how do you need to fill the gaps that you may need to look at in order to make your profile more appealing in the market. So looking at what are the gaps you have. It might be that your gaps are that you lack a strong network, or perhaps you don't have as much knowledge in a specific area, or maybe it's both. Or maybe you have the knowledge, but you don't know where to take to the next step in your career, and you're looking for a little bit of guidance and mentorship. So whatever the gaps are, you're going to work on them if you decide to, take part of this postgraduate diploma. But then it's also about, what the market has to offer. And in the course, you're going to see that, we're going to be very much involved in helping you understand what the industry needs today and how you can make yourself a better professional, how you can make yourself more attractive when you have those opportunities to apply for these types of positions, which, as I mentioned before, they're growing and they're increasing in this particular field. And that's one of the reasons why we decided to design this program, because we saw a need in the market, and Simon also was very proactive and keen to help in the development of this, because we he understood that this was an area that a lot of people could benefit from, and as he said himself in just a moment ago, how this his journey has taken him, and this type of program for those that may be looking for their next step could bring it all together in one specific community platform that allows you to to grow and take your next step. So that was what I wanted to add in this particular point. But Simon, anything that you want to say as far as the market and where you see opportunities when it comes to these types of roles?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the slide here, which shows a number of different opportunities in different clubs in different countries, with federations, with clubs, with leagues. It's and even outside of strictly speaking the club environment as well. I see lots and lots of jobs in this area. Clubs and the industry more widely understand the importance of communications. It almost goes without saying, communication between football and its fans has always been fundamental. The difference, obviously, now between where we are and where we were about 20, 30 years ago is the huge growth in social media and different platforms and so on. And so this communication between clubs and fans and players and fans and leagues and fans has always been fundamental. It's just grown and grown in importance, and certainly roles that help with that. And I would include content and digital media within that. Roles that create that link between the organization and fans are just so important. No matter what aspect of it you work on, whether it's a more marketing role or it's a more strictly communications role, or whether you're just telling the stories of these clubs. it's fundamental, and clubs realize this, and they create rules accordingly. So I think the slide that you have there showing the different types of rules is really good. One thing I've noticed is that it doesn't seem to die down. It's not as if the club's going to get to a point and they go, oh, okay, well, we've recruited, 2 people into this field. It's a growing area, so the teams expand and they need different skill sets as well. So we touch on obviously tech and AI in particular within the course, and part of the reason for that is because those will be increasingly important areas of knowledge and understanding for the new and emerging roles in this industry. So it's a constantly evolving, it's constantly developing, and the thing that doesn't change is how important it is for these clubs, these organizations, leagues, federations, players, publishers, media companies to be communicating effectively and in the right way with fans wherever they are in the world. So I can only echo your point, Diego. It's part of the reason for developing this course, or a very big part, was to help people take that step into these emerging and constantly developing roles within the industry.
100%, 100%. And by the way, as Simon well said, I mean, here we have some clubs and leagues and federations, but there's opportunities in agencies, media outlets, tech startups. And there's so many opportunities to work within the football ecosystem beyond just the clubs or the national, associations. So there's many opportunities if you want to get involved. And the other thing as well is, this part of a football organization also is very much engaging and involved with all of the different stakeholders, right? Whether it's the fans, whether it's the sponsors, whether it's the internal club or the sporting side. It's about the content that engages with the different stakeholders, and of course the fans being a key component of it. But it's also something that allows you to understand the business of football, because you get to understand, well, for example, how do you activate on digital when you have a partnership signed with a football club? So these are the type of situations that, until you're actually inside, there's little opportunity to know how that works. So here we're providing you an opportunity to sort of immerse yourself in that environment where you're going to see the different scenarios and the cases within the course that will allow you to gain that firsthand knowledge and experience that will, like I said, will position you better when you're looking for your next role. The last thing I'll say is, if you're looking for a very academic type of approach where you have to learn, memorize, get tested, and get that type of learning environment, this probably isn't the course for you, right? There's many other great programs out there that focus more on the theory, that focus more on that side of things, because we do get that question sometimes and say, well, how academic is it? As far as, and by academic, I don't disrespect academia by any means, but there's some courses that are more industry oriented, and there's some that are more focused on academia. So ours is not focused on academia, and something to really lay out here in this info session, because if you're looking for more of a practical, hands-on, case study based type of learning, 100%, this is where you want to be. But something to keep in mind, right? So that's it. I mean, you guys probably have all the information now. I'm certain that you have the brochure, but if you don't, you can, scan the QR, you can get in touch with us. We'll be happy to have conversations with you to learn more about your background, learn more about your career aspirations, and help you have all the facts so that you can make your decision. So at the end of the day, it's up to you. It's up to you to decide if this is the right fit for you. We're convinced that we've put together a very strong program, and we're happy to see that a lot of people are inquiring and looking forward to joining. So once you've had a chance to make a decision, get in touch with us because we are starting soon, and we are looking forward to have you take part in this course. The last thing I'll say from my standpoint before turning it over to Simon and your questions is that at SBI you're not going to be a number. This is something that we value very much. We don't have transactionary relationships where you come, you do a course, and then you leave, and you never hear anything about the community. You form part of a community that lasts for a lifetime, for many years. Like Simon said, Simon and I met when he joined the course quite a few years back, and here we are delivering this program together. So it's all about building a relationship, building a community, and many times you want to have that collaborative environment. And at SBI, you're definitely going to find that. You're going to see that we're very student oriented. We care about your future. We care about your opportunities. And I always make the analogy, for those that like tennis, that it's like the tennis player, right? You are the tennis player, and you have to do 50% of your work on the court, but we are the box with your nutritionist, with your coach, with your marketing specialist. Well, that's what SBI does. We are that collaborative community that helps you with opportunities, that guides you with your career, that is always there to answer any questions. And then it's you that has to shine, and you that has to take all the learnings and make the most out of them. But of course, with our help and our support all the way. So if you're interested in learning more, please feel free to let us know. That's from my side, Simon, but anything else from your end that you want to share before we turn it over to some potential questions from our participants?
No, I couldn't summarize it better, Diego. I think exactly it's a good note to end on, is the note on community, and obviously the relationship that we've maintained from that course many years ago is incredible. I think it certainly my experience as having been a student on a course was that wasn't difficult in any way, and indeed Diego and the team are very keen to maintain the community and always ready and open for conversations and to help and assist and make sure that people are still benefiting even after the course. So I think that's a really good note to end on. I'm still in touch with people from that course, and had coffee in London with somebody who was on it and is now working for the Romanian Football Federation. So yes, that sense of community is super important, and one of the big reasons why I was very happy to come back and deliver this course and give a little bit back also to SBI, because I've really benefited from that, from these connections, from this whole experience. So yes, I would very much encourage participation, if for nothing else than that sense of community within the world of football, which I haven't seen anywhere else. So I think that's the best note to leave it on.
Yes. And although the course is online and you can connect from anywhere in the world, as you know, our offices are located in Barcelona. So anytime that students come and visit Barcelona, we always encourage them to come to our office, have coffee with us, have a chance to meet face to face. So that's always there as well. If you're ever in Barcelona, always know that although you're studying online, you're always going to have a home at our SBI offices anytime you want to come in, and we'd be delighted to host you and chat with you about potential opportunities in the football industry. Right. Well, let's move on to some questions. I see we have in the chat a question from Kaz. Kaz, welcome. To make this a little bit more interactive, Kaz, I'm going to see if we can unmute you so you can ask your question and then let us know. So let us know if you want to come in live with the microphone. Otherwise, I think I see your question here that says, is there funding available? So I don't think we can unmute you, Cass, at the moment. I've made the request, but right. So the question from Cass is there funding available? Well, we have different payment plans, options. So I always encourage you, if you're thinking about the course and you want to make it work, get in touch with our team. We have some payment plans. We have some opportunities. available. So the best option, Kaz, is for us to have a one-on-one conversation with either myself or someone from the team, so that we know a little bit more about your background, what what you're looking to do, and how we can potentially help you. So there are opportunities, there are different plans available, which make the course more accessible. So yes, get in touch with us, Cass. Let us know about what you're looking at, and we'll have a conversation with you. I know there's a couple of people that have been asking about this, as far as payment plans and flexibility, and we'll be able to have a conversation with not just yourself, but those that may have the same question. So hopefully, Kaz, we hear from you, and we can have a little bit more of a conversation as far as your personal situation, to see how we can assist and help. Right. We have, let me just see, Colin, George, Joe, Lizzie, Naif, Ruben. Anybody have any additional questions to what we've discussed here tonight? Please feel free to put them in the chat box, or obviously you can always contact us directly and get in touch with us on a more personal note. But if you want to learn more about the course, please let us know. We have a question from Sibel. Sorry, let me just see here. Sibel asks, will there be a final exam? So Simon, we have assessments, but we don't necessarily have a final exam, right? So perhaps we can talk a little bit more about the assessments.
Yeah. So the idea, as we said, is not that this is this is your traditional academic course, and certainly we wouldn't want it to be the type of thing where you come in, you have to learn a lot, and you have to study, memorize a lot. That's the word that I'm looking for, and then there's a final exam where you're tested on that. That's not the objective. The objective is obviously to share as much experience and learning and equip you as far as possible for the industry. And in that context, it's better to, we've got a couple of, I guess, scenarios or case studies where we will, once we've gone through each module, we'll discuss a potentially real life scenario and do a bit of work on that, a bit of group work on that as well, and have a bit of an assessment. But it's certainly not an exam in the traditional sense where you sit in a hall very quietly and write out everything you know onto a piece of paper. That's not the objective. It's more assessing that you are able to cope with some of the real life scenarios that you might experience in these roles. And we would hope that from the learnings from the classes, from the master classes and guest lecturers and so on, that you would feel very well equipped to do that. So that's the way that we've approached it. I don't want to say too much about the assessments, because obviously they need to be a little bit of a surprise within the course, not to give too much away, but yes, it's the kind of thing that in fact I have experienced in both digital media and communications roles within football clubs.
And the other thing, just to add to what Simon was saying, is, many times in the real world and the real life environment, as you all know, there is no right or wrong answer, right? So sometimes it's about, acting as if, and what are the different considerations that you need to think about if you take a decision and opt for this particular option, but also considering what if you do, something else. So in the course, it's also, Simon also does guest lectures at our SBI Masters program, our Master in Football Business and Management. And one of the things we do is we set the tone with a little bit of background as far as the concepts are concerned, which of course is very important. And this is what we were talking about with the course curriculum. But also then we have sessions where we have you discuss, and we have you think, what would you do? What would you do in these types of scenarios? How would you resolve this issue? What are some of the considerations you need to, take in or think about? And then it's very enriching, this type of learning, because afterwards, not only will you have your own opinion and the opinion of whoever's lecturing, but also some of the others that may think or may come in and say, well, look, actually, And it happens time and time again in our SBI courses that we get people from all over the world and they say, well, actually in Europe, this might be the case, but some considerations to think about in the Middle East or in Asia, and you start gaining insights that, you couldn't necessarily have anywhere else unless you have a dynamic discussion and an interactive opportunity to connect with the people that are doing the program beyond those lecturing. So sometimes it's about learning and enriching your experience by actually putting yourself and immersing yourself. And the other thing is it's a safe environment, because when you're in a role, when you're in the real world, you have to perform. And like I said before, you have to hit the ground running. Here, if you make a mistake, if you don't consider something, well, that's what we're here for, to learn and to provide you the insights and the knowledge to think about, well, it's a good idea, but think about this and think about these repercussions. And that's what we want you to be equipped with. Those critical thinking skills that if you put them into practice, and if it's like going to the gym, right? If you do the heavy lifting, then when it comes to actually performing, you're ready, you've done the work. So that's the idea here, that you're in that environment where you're able to think, where you're able to provide your point of view. And if for any reason you haven't considered something, this is the platform where you gain an opportunity to learn and take that away. So, Sibel, hopefully that answers your question about the assessment. And no, there will not be a final exam. It's more based on practical assignments that are going to prepare you for what you're going to face in the real world. George asks, which SBI course did you originally attend? So Simon, I believe that was the marketing and sponsorship course, or marketing and management course.
Marketing and management, yes. Yes, many years ago. So don't quiz me on, don't make me take an exam on what I learned. But yes, football marketing and management, I believe it was called. Really my first experience of the football industry in any sense. And as we were saying earlier, the thing that I retained really above all was, well, two things. One was the level of knowledge that I gained from it, where I felt far more comfortable speaking with people within the industry because I had some understanding of how it worked. But second of all was that sense of community that emerged from it. And I think that's something that has lasted me, obviously, until now. Indeed, the fact that I'm sitting here right now clearly demonstrates that. So yes, very, very positive and good experience, and something that I would hope to replicate with this course for all of you.
Yes, no, very good question, George. And that just shows a little bit about who we are and what we stand for at SBI. So no matter which course you undertake at SBI, we always believe that we have a duty. I always say this as well. We are here to serve. We are here to serve our students. That's our job. That's what we do. And there's many institutes that have this same approach, but unfortunately, there's many others as well that sometimes rely on just the name, and we don't believe in that. We are not here for any other reason than to serve our students and provide them the best opportunities. And then that's what we do. Obviously, then it's up to you to use that and take that on. But as Simon says, when you are in an environment where you learn, and where you're, and the other thing that time and time again we get as feedback is people say, I'm looking forward to my class. This is not really studying. This is actually something that is my passion. So I want to attend and I want to be in these lessons. And that's what we do. That's where we focus it, and making it an environment where people want to learn and where people want to collaborate. And you'd be surprised how far that goes when everybody is in that same wavelength, or that same has that same mission. It's everybody there helping each other, whether it's the lecturers, whether it's the students, whether it's the admin staff at SBI. Everybody is there with one common purpose, and that's to make sure that our students get the most out of their investment and their opportunity with us. And we know that. We know that as an institute, our success depends on your success. So if you're not having success, that means we're not delivering and providing you the opportunities, the knowledge, the network that I mentioned before. So we work very hard to make sure that, you know, we have a responsibility. People are investing their money, their time with us. So we very clearly know that we need to deliver. And fortunately, throughout these years, that's been able to, you know, position ourselves in the industry as an institute that is, like I said, very, very student oriented. Right. I mean, I could go on and on for all night talking about what we do because I'm very passionate about it myself. But just a few more questions. I think one more is here in the chat. When is the next intake after 17th of March in case I miss this deadline? So at the moment, Joe, we don't know. It's the first time we're launching this program. So for now, we're focusing on this edition. But obviously, stay in touch with us if for any reason this may not be the one that is the right timing for you. And hopefully, we'll be able to offer another edition, you know, in the near future. So for now, we're focusing on this edition because it's our introduction to the SBI, you know, academic portfolio, and we're very happy and we're convinced that it's going to be delivering a lot of value for those that come. No, thank you, Sibel. Thank you, George, for attending and for being here, and also for everybody that has been with us for this past hour. I hope we've been able to resolve all your questions, but if for any reason you have additional queries, you want to discuss your situation further, get in touch with us. Absolutely. We'd love to have a chat with you. And who knows, maybe it's the right fit for you. Maybe it isn't. Maybe we'll say to you, you know what? It's probably not the best moment for you. And we're going to be very honest, but we're convinced that we have a program that is very strong, very solid, and we're really looking forward to it. So on my side, that's what I wanted to share. So thank you very much for your time and for being here. Simon, I'll turn it over to you for any final thoughts or comments.
No, just remains to say thank you from my side. Thank you for your attention tonight. We really appreciate it. As Diego says, any questions, let us know. But hopefully we see as many of you as possible from the 17th of March. We would love to see you there, and I look forward to working with you from that date. So thank you again, and look forward to chatting soon.
See you again soon, everybody. Thank you for being here tonight. One final request that I'll ask. Simon's club, Newcastle, is playing Liverpool tomorrow. So let's send them their positive vibes and hope Newcastle gets the win. Of course, if we have a Liverpool fans, we'll make that exception. But
That's okay. That's okay.
All kidding aside, Simon, best of luck tomorrow against Liverpool, and looking forward to touching base soon. So thanks, everybody. Have a great night. And
Thanks.
yes, I see someone talking about the Barca match tonight. So good moment to wrap it up so that you guys can go and watch some football tonight. So thanks, everybody. Thanks, Simon. Let's connect soon, and all the best. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Diego.
Thank you. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.